No. No. Okay. What's up, Internet? This is PG-13, Paul and Glenn.
What's up?
We're going to change it up a little bit this week, okay? This week, we're going to be talking about a very special topic since it is Thanksgiving this Thursday, okay? Glenn, take it.
13 topics to avoid at this Thanksgiving.
Boom. We're going to help you out. We're going to make sure that your Thanksgiving is safe and that nobody at your Thanksgiving table either stabs each other, hurts each other, throws food at each other.
It's valid.
We don't want you to go through that.
You don't
We're
want
going to
that to
help you out, all right?
You're welcome.
Let's go. Thing number one.
All right, so the first thing you want to avoid when you're at the Thanksgiving table with your family, you're eating dinner, if people in your family are a tiny bit racist, you don't want to call them out on it because that's going to just start a really awkward conversation. And let's face it, if someone's racist, it's very hard to change their mind.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make it okay to be racist. It's not acceptable by any means, but in order to save your Thanksgiving dinner, we just, healthy advice, it is going to make dinner worse.
Yes.
If you confront them about it. So if you want to challenge them on it, if you want to try to change their worldview, go for it. That's the right thing to do. The easy thing to do to save your Thanksgiving is don't talk about it.
Don't do it.
Thing number two! Alright, so a lot of things have been happening in the world recently in the global community. There's been a lot of terrorist attacks. A lot of people have died very tragically. Thing number two that you shouldn't bring up at Thanksgiving and you should avoid and try to steer the conversation away from.
Don't talk about it.
ISIL. Or ISIS, if you prefer to call them that, okay? The topic of ISIS has a lot of different connotations to it, and there's a lot of things that can be talked about, and all of them are hot topics that are going to cause arguments. So if you want to have a peaceful dinner, don't talk about ISIS, okay?
Plus, you don't want to get all depressed at Thanksgiving dinner. You don't want to talk about tragedies or, bad things that are happening in the world. You want to keep it positive at your Thanksgiving table, so definitely don't talk about that.
And it's good to be aware of the tragedies, but Thanksgiving is to be thankful.
Right.
So we should avoid it altogether. It's absolutely right.
Thing number three! Another hot topic that's happening all around the world, but especially in our country right now, is the Syrian Refugee Crisis. Don't talk about it at dinner. Everyone has their own opinion, and, whether you think someone else is right or wrong is going to get really heated at the Thanksgiving table, so just don't even bring it up.
Think about it. America has been arguing about this for weeks. Are you really going to solve it over the Thanksgiving dinner table? Is it really worth your time?
You're not going to solve it there.
I'd say no.
It's not going to happen.
Thing number four. Okay. Do not talk about Obama at the Thanksgiving table, okay?
Doesn't matter.
People have very differing opinions on whether or not Obama has been a good president. People have very differing opinions on how he's been handling the refugee crisis or the ISIS crisis, really anything. Don't bring it up at Thanksgiving. Again, people have had 4 years to talk about Obama and whether or not they agree about him, and guess what? They don't. You're not going to do it over this weekend.
It's true.
Thing number five.
All right, so probably the most talked about thing in the news for the past few months, Donald Trump. Don't bring him up at dinner. You already know everything he's ever said. You know all of his policies already. You know he wants to build a wall.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be this great wall. Mexico's going to pay for it.
It's going to be a great big beautiful door right in the middle.
You don't need to talk about it at dinner. You can find out that someone actually supports Donald Trump and you'll never look at that person the same way again.
Ruin your family, let alone dinner. Thing number six.
Wait. Before we get to thing number six, we have to talk about thing number 5.5.
What's thing number 5?
Donald Trump's hair. Don't bring it up at the dinner table. It's going to ruin your appetite.
No one even knows if it's real.
It's probably
I don't
not.
think it's real.
I don't think it's real. We've already talked about that a lot. Not us personally, but the world in general. So you pretty much know everything there is to need to know.
Thing number 6. All right, Internet. Thing number 6. All right, you're really not going to be able to stop this one from happening. You're really not going to be able to save yourself. So really the point here is damage control. Okay, you're gonna get asked about your exes.
It happens.
If you have an ex, if you have a recent ex, past ex, any ex, you're gonna get asked about it. There's gonna be somebody who's like, hey, what happened to that girl or that boy? They were lovely. You were doing great when you were with them. What happened? You're gonna hear about it. Avoid the topic at all costs. You don't need that drama in your life. They've already caused enough.
Here's what you do.
Okay.
If someone asks you about your recent ex or any ex for that matter, someone's calling you in another room.
Absolutely.
That's the rule.
Yep.
All right.
Or you smell pie.
You gotta live by that.
Thing number 7.
So, related to talking about exes is talking about current relationships.
Ooh, good.
A lot of young people don't always bring their significant other to their family dinner, so you will get questions about them. How are they doing? How's school? Where are they working? What are they doing with their life? Things like that. And a lot of times you may not know, to be honest. And that's fine.
If you bring your current significant other to Thanksgiving, you're on distraction.
Especially if it's the first time.
That's your job, is to deflect and absorb the questions. So if they start being pelted with questions, you got to take that. You got to jump in and answer.
You got to take one for the team.
Yeah, you just got to handle that. Thing number 8. All right, so among the other topics, another big one, a very broad topic, a very easily debatable question: religion. Okay. Now, I would argue that most times when you go home for Thanksgiving, most of the people in the room, since it's your family, are likely to be of the same religion. Now, granted, there are families where that's not the case.
Right.
And, there are sometimes, people who deviate from the entire family and they're in the minority. Sometimes the entire family is a motley crew of religions. Don't talk about it, okay? People have argued about religion for centuries.
Yep.
Basically forever.
There's no winning argument.
Eat your turkey and let it go. Let it be that. Don't talk about it.
Thing number 9. All right, so a lot of times when you're going to Thanksgiving dinner, it's at a family member's house or a friend's house, even if you go out to dinner, but more for when you're having a home-cooked meal. If the person that's making the meal messes up the meal or does something, burns the turkey, burns the bread, something that messes up the meal, don't bring it up. Pretend that it's the best meal ever. Those people went through a lot to make that dinner. You can whisper it to your cousin while you're eating it, but never bring it up to the whole table.
Do not talk about it at the dinner table because it will make your entire weekend or evening miserable.
Yeah.
Miserable.
You'll never get their turkey again. Which may sound like a good thing, but it's not.
It's not a good thing. Thing number 10! All right, listen, Internet. Another thing that you should not bring up at Thanksgiving: the war. What war? Doesn't matter.
Any war.
Does not matter.
Any war.
Do not talk about it. Do not talk about Syria. Do not talk about the Ukraine. Do not talk about Afghanistan, Iraq,
Russia.
Iran. You can talk about Russia because basically nobody likes Russia anyway.
That's true.
Don't talk about any of the wars in the Middle East, which we're in like 9. That's an exaggeration, but close enough.
Too many.
It's too many in the same place, and they've been going on for far too long. Here we go. We're talking about the war. Don't talk about the war.
Don't do what we just did.
Do not talk about it. You're not going to get anywhere. Thing number 11.
All right, so one of the biggest people in the news this year is Caitlyn Jenner.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people have different opinions on, how brave she is or what she's done or anything like that. Some people still choose to call her Bruce, which I don't think is fair. But again, that's another topic you don't want to bring up at the Thanksgiving table. A lot of people have different opinions. A lot of people still don't understand the whole transgender thing, but you just don't want to cause any arguments over this sensitive subject.
Nope. Especially the older members of your family, like your grandparents or maybe even some older parents. They grew up when transgender wasn't even close to being a thing, and so they might think that it's more of a trend or a fad. We hear people talking about that a lot, and a lot of people just don't understand. And it's never been something that's existed in their life, and maybe they don't have the capacity to understand. So you have to be sensitive to that, even though that you might find a position like that ignorant. You need to leave it alone. Okay, for the sake of the Thanksgiving.
Save it.
Thing number 12. Black Friday. Very big part of Thanksgiving weekend. Huge part of American society. A big deal.
It's pretty much Black Thursday now.
It really is pretty much Black Thursday now, and that is gonna come up at Thanksgiving, more likely than not. Somebody's gonna be like, oh, I can't believe that they're having Black Friday at the end of Thanksgiving evening now.
They're destroying America.
Oh my goodness, they're tearing apart this country's family values. Don't talk about it. Okay, the reason that Black Friday is happening so early is because customers go. Okay, and that's just how it is. Now, you can debate as to whether or not that's wrong. That's fine. But there are going to be people who think that's fine. There are going to be members of your family who are probably going to go. Okay, so if you're going to go. Have a good time. If you're not going to go, don't go and have a good time. It's really as simple as that. Yep. Just have a good time and let people do what they want. Okay? Thing number 13! All right, I'm ready. The big one.
All right, the big one. The big one you never want to talk about at pretty much any family gathering, especially Thanksgiving. Politics. There's so much going on in politics right now that you don't want to bring it up, and especially if you're in a room of mixed political party views, you don't want to bring up that politics issue because people are just going to start going at it, and that's one of those issues that people can argue for hours on, and you won't get anywhere.
Nope. Especially, I like what you said about mixed parties. Like, if you have Democrats and Republicans in the family, do not have this conversation. If you have all of the same party in the same house, Still don't talk about it because there are going to be people with varying levels of a similar opinion, but it's still going to cause problems. And this relates to ISIL, it relates to the refugees, it relates to Donald Trump, Obama. It doesn't really relate to any of the Exes or anything, but it relates to religion.
You know, not everyone feels the burn, all right? But that's okay. So you just got to make sure that you keep those opinions to yourself. If you want to, you know, talk about that later on, again, you can do that, but at the table, it's definitely something you want to stay away from.
Listen, Glenn, I think really a good overall policy for this Thanksgiving to save people's Thanksgivings is just you do you.
Yeah, or just don't talk. I mean, that's pretty safe.
But then you're going to get yelled at for not contributing to the family.
That's true.
But don't talk is the safe way, but I think you do you, maybe.
Do you.
You do you is my advice to you, Internet. Okay? So listen, Internet, thank you very much for listening again. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Have a great holiday.
Okay? Listen to these 13 tips. You're going to do fine. All right?
Take notes if you have to.
Enjoy your weekend.